Hi, hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Today we will discuss about the writer Alexander Pope. Alexander Pope, 1688-1744. English writer, poet, translator, critic, satirist, and essayist. Lived during the Augustan or Neoclassical period, that is early 18th century. Genres include satire, mock epic, didactic poetry, moral essays. He was born in 1688 in London, England. His parents, Alexander Pope Sr., who was a linen merchant, and Edith Pope, also called a knee turner. His family was Roman Catholic, a minority facing severe discrimination under Protestant rule. Catholics were legally barred from holding public office, attending universities, or living within 10 miles of London. Impact of religion. Because of the penal laws against the Catholics, Pope was denied a formal public education, which profoundly shaped his intellectual independence and his later resentment toward social hypocrisy. Health issues. As a child, Pope contracted Pott's disease, that is tuberculosis of the spine, leaving him with a deformed body, stunted growth, that is he grew only to 4 feet 6 inches, and a chronic pain throughout his life. These physical limitations isolated him socially, but also directed him inward toward reading, reflection, and writing. Homeschooled. Since Catholics were barred from formal education, he was privately tutored by Catholic priests. Pope became a self-taught scholar, immersing himself in Latin, Greek, French, and Italian literature. He devoured works by Homer, Virgil, Horace, and Juvenal, and became deeply influenced by classical models of order, reason, and balance, ideas that shaped all his writings. He was also fascinated by William Shakespeare and John Milton, whose language and structure inspired his mastery of the heroic couplet. Physical appearance. Due to his illness, Pope was small, frail, and hunched, often wearing a corset to support his spine. His friends. He formed the famous Scribblers Club with Jonathan Swift, John Kay, Thomas Parnell, and Dr. Arbuthnot, a circle of writers who mocked literary pretension and moral corruption. Enemies. He had many enemies, including critics, rival poets, and political figures who felt the sting of his satire. Residence. He later lived in Twickenham, that is near London, where he built a famous grotto and a garden, reflecting his love for landscape art and symbolic architecture. Romantic life. No confirmed romantic relationships were known, though rumors linked him with Lady Mary Bertie, Montaigne, and others. His physical conditions and a private temperament made him reclusive. His works include Pastorals, 1709, as his first published work, written in his teens, showing mastery of classical pastoral tradition. An essay on criticism, 1711, a didactic poem in heroic couplets on the principles of good criticism, poetic taste. Famous line from this work is, "To err is human, to forgive divine." The next work, The Rape of the Lock, 1712, revised in 1714, A brilliant mock epic satirizing the tribalities of high society based on a real incident where a lock of a lady's hair was cut. It combines grandeur of epic with a trivial subject. That is a hallmark of neoclassical wit. The next work, The Dunciad, 1728, revised in 1743, a biting satire attacking dullness in literature and society. It portrays dull writers, that is, the dunces, as the enemies of reason and taste. The next work, An Essay on Man, 1733 to 1734, a philosophical poem exploring humanity's place in the universe. The central idea is, whatever is right. It reflects the optimism of the Enlightenment, though often misunderstood as deterministic. The next work, Moral Essays, published between 1731 and 1735, a series of reflective pieces on human nature, virtue, and vice. His translation works include the Iliad, 1715 to 1720, and the Odyssey, 1725-26. His monumental translations of Homer into heroic couplets, considered among the greatest English verse translations. These works made him financially independent, rare for poets of his time. His other notable works include Epistle to Dr. Arbuthnot, 1735, a semi-autobiographical poem defending his life and art. Then the next work, Epistle to a Lady, 1735, a reflection on women and morality in the 18th century. The next work, Imitations of Horace, 1733-38, adaptations of Horace's satires to contemporary England. His key themes include satire and irony, mocking human vanity, moral corruption, and a bad taste, reason and order. His works celebrate rationality, harmony, and a classical proportion. Nature and the human condition. Pope's philosophy insists on accepting human limits within the divine order. Critique of society. It exposes hypocrisy, ignorance, and the artificiality of social norms. Moral philosophy, balancing human ambition with a humility before the cosmic order. Art and poetic craft. There is precision, balance, and a clarity, what often was thought but never so well expressed. His style and techniques, heroic couplet mastery. He perfected the rhymed iambic pentameter couplet, making it sharp, witty, and musical. Classical allusions, frequent references to Greek and Roman writers. Polished diction, clarity and compression, few wasted words. Didactic tone, poetry as moral instruction, not just entertainment. Epigrammatic precision, his lines are full of quotable aphorisms and maxims. Political and social engagement. Though not a politician, Pope's writings had a political undertones. Catholic identity. His faith made him an outsider in Protestant England. He often used the satire to critique hypocrisy and intolerance. Social commentary. His works reflect on class divisions, pretensions of the aristocracy, and a moral decay in urban society. Influence on English poetry. Standardized poetic diction and the heroic couplet. Inspired generations of poets from Samuel Johnson to Lord Byron and beyond. The quotable legacy. Pope's lines remain embedded in English Idioms, for example, a little learning is a dangerous thing. Fools rush in where angels fear to tread. Twickenham, his residence, became a literary pilgrimage site even in his lifetime. Pope was the first poet laureate to live by writing alone. Pope achieved a financial independence solely through his literary work, setting a new model for authorship. Editorial contributions. He edited Shakespeare's work 1725, attempting to correct textual errors, an early venture into literary scholarship. His landscape design. His garden and a grotto at Twickenham are considered precursors to English landscape garden movement, blending nature, art, and philosophy. Defender of authorial rights. Pope championed copyright and a writer's autonomy at the time when authors were exploited by publishers. Pope's essay on criticism was published when he was just 21 years of age. Death. He died in 1744 at Twickenham, England, because of a gradual decline due to chronic illness and dropsy. Critics' opinion about him. Samuel Johnson says, if Pope be not a poet, where is poetry to be found? Walter says, Pope is the most correct poet than ever wrought, and at the same time, the most harmonious. Sir Joseph Addison says, Pope in verse, as elegant as Tenter, should be read with admiration by all who would understand the delicacy of polished wit. Lord Byron says, Pope's wit is the most refined essence of intellect. It sparkles with the purest light of reason. William Hazlitt says, Pope is a name to sound for ages in the ears of Englishmen.